You don't need that boat at 55, my son-in-law Brad said, snatching the keys to my brand new Ranger bass boat right off my kitchen counter. We're taking the family to the lake for 2 weeks. We'll drop you at assisted living on the way out. I'm Bill Patterson, and I just spent $45,000 of my own money on that boat and the little cabin that came with it. But Brad didn't know I had a plan. When they hit the water, I sent him a text. Check the glove box. What he found there changed everything. Let me back up. I'd been planning this purchase for 8 months. After my divorce finalized 18 months ago, I lost half my assets to my ex-wife Linda. The house, the retirement accounts, even my golf club membership, all split down the middle, from $800,000 in total assets down to $400,000. At 55, I was starting over, but I was also free for the first time in 25 years. I work as a financial advisor here in Dallas. Been doing it for 23 years, helping people plan for retirement, manage their money, protect their assets. You'd think I'd have seen my own divorce coming, but love makes you stupid sometimes. Linda cleaned me out legally and properly. Can't even be mad about it. That's what happens when you don't protect yourself. So when I saw that Ranger 620 FS at the boat show last spring, pristine condition with a small cabin on Lake Texoma thrown in for $45,000, I knew it was time. My fishing sanctuary, my weekend escape, my middle-aged man cave on the water. I'd been saving specifically for this, $50,000 set aside in a separate account just for my post-divorce freedom fund. I called my daughter Rachel to share the news. Big mistake. Dad, that's a lot of money, she said, her voice flat. Not congratulations or that sounds amazing. Just worry about the money. My money. It's a good investment, honey. The cabin alone is worth $30,000, and the boat's barely used. I've got $350,000 left in assets after this purchase. You could have spent it more wisely. More wisely. Like on what? Her mortgage? Her husband's failing construction business? I'd already helped them twice in the past year when Brad's jobs fell through. $15,000 total in loans that were never getting repaid. I've been saving for this since the divorce. It's something I've wanted for years. I have to go. Brad just got home. Click. 2 minutes and 15 seconds. That's all my dream was worth to her. 3 days later, I was sitting in my kitchen looking out at the Ranger parked in my driveway. Beautiful machine. 20-foot bass boat with all the electronics, trolling motor, live wells, the works. The cabin keys sat next to the boat keys on the counter. That's when Brad walked through my front door. Didn't knock. Just walked in like he owned the place. Bill. Not hey Bill or good morning. Just my name, flat as a statement. The family talked it over. We need the boat and cabin for our vacation. 2 weeks at the lake. We already made plans. I stood there holding my coffee mug, processing. The family talked it over. When? After my call with Rachel 3 days ago while I sat alone with my boat brochures? What are you talking about, Brad? I just bought this. He moved past me, scanning the counter, found what he wanted. My key ring, right where I'd left it. The boat key and cabin key on their floating fob. Yeah, Rachel told me. $45,000. That's a lot for something you're not going to use much anyway. My hands tightened on the mug. Not going to use? I'd already planned 3 fishing trips. At your age, come on. You don't need this. We can drop you at Sunset Manor on our way out. They have activities. The words hit like a slap. Sunset Manor, the assisted living place, as if I were a piece of luggage to be stored while they took my boat for a family vacation. You can't just take my property. Those are my keys. But he was already moving toward the door, young and confident, my keys in his fist. We're family. We borrow things. That's how it works. We'll take good care of it. Then he was gone, out to his truck, hooking up my boat trailer like he'd done it 100 times. I stood in my doorway watching him drive away with $45,000 of my property like it was his birthright. But here's the thing about being a financial advisor for 23 years. You learn to plan for contingencies. You learn to read people. And you learn to protect your assets from people who think they're entitled to them. I walked to my home office and opened the safe. Inside, along with important documents and some cash, I kept the spare keys. The dealer had given me 2 sets. Always have backup keys for expensive toys. I sat down at my desk and pulled out files. The purchase contract, title transfer, insurance policy, registration, everything showing William Patterson as sole owner. No co-signers, no liens, no gray areas. Then I opened my laptop and started planning. This wasn't just about a boat anymore. This was about respect, about boundaries, about what happens when family thinks blood relations give them ownership rights over your property. Brad thought he'd won, thought the old man would just roll over and accept it. He was about to learn what 2 decades of protecting people's financial interests had taught me about consequences. First call, Jennifer Walsh, estate attorney. I'd worked with her on my divorce. Sharp, thorough, expensive. Jennifer, it's Bill Patterson. I need to see you this week about changing my will. It's urgent. Bill, my schedule is packed until Thursday. I'll pay double your rate. This is about protecting my assets from family members who think they can just take what they want. That got her attention. Thursday at 2 o'clock. Bring your current will and any documentation of the issues you're facing. While I waited for that appointment, I made another call. Dallas Police Department, non-emergency line. I need to report stolen property. A boat and cabin, total value $45,000. Family member took it without permission. I have all documentation proving sole ownership. The officer took my information. Sir, in family disputes, we typically recommend trying civil remedies first. Have you attempted to resolve this directly? The person who took it told me I don't need it at my age and suggested dropping me at assisted living. I'd say direct communication failed. I see. Can you come in tomorrow morning? Bring all ownership documents. We'll need to determine if this is theft or a civil matter. I'll be there at 9 o'clock. That evening, I drove to Lake Texoma. The cabin was small but perfect. 1 bedroom, kitchenette, screened porch overlooking the water. I let myself in with the spare keys and looked around. My peaceful retreat, my investment, my property. I walked to the kitchen counter and placed my business card there, along with a note. For questions about this property, contact owner William Patterson. Then I took photos of everything. The cabin interior, the deed posted on the refrigerator, my note with the business card. Documentation is everything. The next morning, I was at the police station with 3 folders of paperwork. Officer Rodriguez reviewed everything. Purchase contract, title, registration, insurance policy, photos of the VIN number, bank records showing the payment. Mr. Patterson, you clearly own this property. The question is whether this constitutes theft or a civil dispute. Did you explicitly deny permission? I told him he couldn't take my keys. He took them anyway and drove off with my boat. Rodriguez made notes. Given the value and your documented ownership plus explicit denial of permission, this could qualify as unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. That's a felony in Texas if the value exceeds $30,000. What's the next step? We'll file a report. If you decide to press charges, Lake Patrol can locate the property and make contact with the operator. But I have to warn you, family theft cases get complicated. Courts don't like them. I understand. File the report. I'll decide about pressing charges after I explore other options. Thursday afternoon, I was in Jennifer's office. Glass desk, leather chairs, law degrees on the wall. She pulled up my current will on her computer. Everything goes to Rachel currently. Your total estate is roughly $350,000 now, correct? Yes. House worth $180,000, retirement accounts, $120,000, savings and investments, $50,000. I want to change this. Tell me what happened. I explained the whole situation. The boat purchase, Rachel's cold reaction, Brad's theft, the assisted living comment. Jennifer took notes, asked clarifying questions. This is asset protection, she said finally. Your son-in-law sees you as a source of funding, not a person deserving respect. How do you want to restructure? Texas Veterans Fund, primary beneficiary. Rachel gets $1. I want it documented that this change is due to demonstrated lack of respect for my property and autonomy. She made notes. I can prepare this, but it'll take 3 business days. Texas law requires specific language for disinheritance to prevent challenges. We'll also need 2 witnesses for signing. How long before it's legally binding? Once signed and witnessed, it's immediately effective. But Bill, this is a significant step. Once word gets out about this change, your relationship with Rachel... Jennifer, my relationship with Rachel changed when she stood by while her husband stole from me. This just makes it official. I'll have the documents ready Monday. And Bill? Given what you've told me, I'd recommend not telling anyone about this change until after it's signed. People do desperate things when inheritance money is at stake. That weekend was quiet. I worked in my yard, did some maintenance on my truck, caught up on paperwork, normal weekend activities, but my mind kept circling back to the empty space in my driveway where my boat should have been. Sunday evening, my phone rang. Rachel, Dad, we're having such a great time at the lake. The kids love the boat. Brad's teaching Tommy to drive it. I listened to her voice, bright and happy, describing their vacation in my property. That's nice, honey. Dad, you sound upset. Is everything okay? Just tired. You all having fun is what matters. We really appreciate you letting us borrow everything. The cabin's perfect for the kids, and Brad says the boat handles great. Letting us borrow. As if I'd given permission. As if Brad hadn't just taken what he wanted. Glad it's working out. We'll probably stay the full 2 weeks if that's okay. The weather's been perfect. 2 weeks. In my cabin, on my boat, acting like I'd graciously loaned them my property instead of having it stolen. Take your time. After I hung up, I sat in my kitchen looking at that empty driveway. Monday, I'd sign the new will. Then I'd decide about pressing charges. But one way or another, this disrespect was going to cost them more than they'd bargained for. Monday morning, I was back in Jennifer's office signing the new will. 3 copies, all witnessed by her paralegals and notarized. I kept 2 copies. She filed the original. This is legally binding as of now, she said, placing the documents in a folder. But Bill, I have to ask, are you planning to tell Rachel about this change? Not yet. Let me see how they handle returning my property first. I drove straight from her office to the police station. Officer Rodriguez was expecting me. Mr. Patterson, have you had any contact with the family since we filed the report? My daughter called yesterday. They're treating this like I gave them permission for a 2-week vacation, acting like I'm being generous instead of being stolen from. Rodriguez pulled up the file on his computer. Given that response and the value involved, I think we have grounds for criminal charges. Lake Patrol can locate them today if you want to proceed. I thought about Rachel's happy voice on the phone describing how much fun they were having, how Brad was teaching my grandson to drive my boat. The complete lack of acknowledgement that anything was wrong. You understand this will likely end your relationship with your daughter? Officer, my relationship with my daughter ended when she chose to let her husband steal from me. This just makes it official. He made the call to Lake Patrol while I waited. 20 minutes later, he hung up. They'll locate the boat within the next 2 hours. The operator will be informed of the criminal charges and given a choice: return the property immediately or face arrest for felony theft. I drove home and waited. At 2:47, my phone exploded with calls. Brad's number, over and over. I let them all go to voicemail. Then a text. What the hell did you do? The game wardens are here saying we stole your boat. I turned off my phone and made a sandwich. 3 hours later, I heard my boat coming up the driveway. The engine was revving too high. Brad was driving angry. The trailer bounced and lurched as he took the turn too fast. I walked onto my front porch as Brad slammed his truck door. Rachel got out slowly, her face red and blotchy. The kids stayed in the truck, pressed against the windows, confused and scared. You had us treated like criminals. Brad stormed across the gravel. Game wardens, like we're some kind of boat thieves. Whose boat was it? I kept my voice level. We're family. You don't call the cops on family. You took my property without permission. That's theft. The law agrees. Rachel approached slowly. Dad, the kids are traumatized. They don't understand why their vacation got ruined. Who ruined it, Rachel? Who made the choice to take something without asking? Brad stepped closer, his face twisted with rage. This isn't over, old man. We're going to fight this. You think you can humiliate us? We'll have you declared incompetent. Everyone will see what a vindictive, senile old fool you are. There it was, the threat I'd been expecting. The keys, I said, holding out my hand. Brad wanted to throw them at me, wanted to keep fighting, but Rachel touched his arm. Just give him the keys, Brad. Let's go home. He pulled the key ring from his pocket and slammed it into my palm. The metal was warm and sticky with his sweat. You'll regret this, he said. We'll tie you up in court for years. You'll be dead before you see a penny of your precious money. They drove away, leaving tire marks in my gravel. I watched until they disappeared, then went inside and called Jennifer. They threatened an incompetency petition, I told her. I figured they would. How do you feel about that? Bring it on. I've got medical records, financial statements, character references from colleagues. What do they have? Anger that I protected my property? We'll need to be proactive. Get comprehensive medical evaluations before any court-ordered assessment. Establish your mental competency on the record. Set it up. The incompetency petition arrived 6 days later. Fancy letterhead from Whitman and Associates requesting court-ordered psychiatric evaluation. They claimed my erratic behavior, estrangement from family, and vindictive actions against loved ones showed I lacked capacity to manage my affairs. Jennifer filed our response the same day, along with a counter-motion for harassment and frivolous litigation. We attached my medical records, financial statements, character references from colleagues, and the police report documenting the theft. The medical evaluations are scheduled for next week, she told me. Dr. Patricia Hayes on Tuesday, Dr. Robert Kane on Thursday. Both are court-approved psychiatrists. They'll do comprehensive cognitive assessments. How strong is their case? Weak. Protecting your property isn't erratic behavior. Using law enforcement when you're robbed isn't vindictive. And changing your will is your absolute right as long as you're competent. Which I am. Which we'll prove. But Bill, even when we win this, and we will win, your relationship with Rachel, I know. The medical evaluations were thorough. Dr. Hayes spent 90 minutes asking about my medical history, career, family relationships, decision-making process. She administered cognitive tests, memory exercises, problem-solving scenarios. I completed them all easily. Dr. Kane's examination was more technical. Neurological reflexes, coordination tests, spatial reasoning. He had me walk heel to toe across the room, identify patterns in visual sequences. Your cognitive function is excellent, Mr. Patterson, Dr. Kane said, reviewing his findings. Better than average for your age group. Do you do puzzles or brain training? Financial planning, I told him. 23 years of reading contracts and managing risk keeps the mind sharp. Both doctors provided detailed written reports. No evidence of dementia, cognitive impairment, or diminished capacity. Patient demonstrates sound judgment and decision-making abilities. The hearing was scheduled for 8 weeks out. 2 weeks before the hearing, I got a call from an unknown number. Dad, it's me. Rachel's voice, small and scared. How did you get this number? I'm calling from work. Brad doesn't know. Dad, please, can we just talk? Just me and you? Something in her voice made me pause. Where? Starbucks on Henderson. 1 hour? She was already there when I arrived, sitting in a corner booth, coffee untouched. She'd been crying. Dad, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. I sat across from her, not beside her. Distance mattered. Sorry for what, specifically? For not standing up to Brad. For letting him take your boat. For the incompetency petition. Her voice broke. I never wanted any of this, but you didn't stop it either. He's my husband. I have to live with him. When he gets angry, you're afraid of him? She nodded, tears flowing freely now. You don't understand what he's like when he doesn't get his way. The yelling, the threats, it's easier to just go along. For the first time in weeks, I felt something other than anger toward my daughter. Rachel, if he's abusing you, not physically, but emotionally, financially, he controls everything. I can't even access our bank accounts without his permission. I leaned back, processing this. How long has this been going on? Years. It got worse after his business started failing. Your boat, your money, he sees it all as a solution to his problems. What do you want from me? I want to stop this court case. I want to fix our relationship. I want... She paused, wiping her eyes. I want to leave him, but I don't know how. I studied my daughter's face. The fear, the desperation, the genuine remorse. This wasn't the spoiled, entitled woman I'd been angry with. This was a victim. I'll help you leave him, I said finally. But not the way you're thinking. What do you mean? You file for divorce first. Get your own lawyer, separate your finances, establish your independence. Then we talk about our relationship. Hope flickered in her eyes. And the will? The court case? That depends on you. Show me you're serious about changing your life, and we'll see. She left without promising anything, but something had shifted. For the first time since this whole mess started, I felt like I was talking to my daughter instead of Brad's accomplice. The incompetency hearing was scheduled for the following Monday. Jennifer and I met that morning to review our strategy. Their case is weak, she said, spreading documents across her desk. No medical evidence, no financial mismanagement, no cognitive decline. Just anger that you protected your property. What's our biggest strength? Your medical evaluations are excellent. Dr. Hayes and Dr. Kane both found you fully competent, cognitively sharp, and emotionally stable. The judge will see this for what it is: retaliation. The hearing lasted 50 minutes. Judge Catherine Rhodes, efficient and no-nonsense, reviewed our documentation while their attorney struggled to explain why protecting property and using law enforcement constituted incompetence. "Counselor," the judge interrupted him mid-sentence, "changing one's will is not evidence of mental decline. It's evidence of autonomy. Using police when property is stolen is not erratic behavior. It's appropriate response. Do you have any medical evidence of cognitive impairment?" "Your Honor, the defendant's vindictive actions toward his family are his legal right as a property owner." Petition denied. One gavel strike. Over. I walked out of that courthouse feeling vindicated but empty. I'd won everything legally but lost my family in the process. That afternoon, Rachel called. "Dad, I filed the papers. Divorce papers. I'm staying at my friend Sarah's house until I find an apartment. How are you holding up?" "Scared but relieved. Brad's furious, but he can't do anything about it legally. My lawyer says I should be able to get half of what's left of his assets." "Good. And the kids? They're confused, but they'll be okay." "Dad, about your will. We'll talk about that after your divorce is final." One thing at a time. 6 months later, I was sitting on the screened porch of my lake cabin, watching the sunrise over the water. My ranger sat at the dock below, ready for another day of fishing. Rachel's divorce had finalized 3 weeks earlier. She'd gotten custody of the kids and half of Brad's remaining assets, which wasn't much, but enough for a fresh start. She'd found a job at a local bank and rented a small apartment near the kids' school. We had dinner together once a month now, slowly rebuilding what Brad had tried to destroy. I hadn't changed my will back yet, but I was considering it. Rachel was proving she could make good decisions when she wasn't being controlled and manipulated. My phone buzzed with a text from her. "Taking the kids camping this weekend. Thanks for everything, Dad." I looked out at the lake, peaceful and quiet. My boat, my cabin, my choice of how to spend my time. At 56, I'd learned something valuable about respect, boundaries, and the difference between family and people who just share your DNA. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even, it's getting free, and helping the people you love get free too. Brad had tried to steal my boat, my dignity, and my autonomy. Instead, he'd taught me the value of standing up for myself and helped me save my daughter from an abusive marriage. I fired up the Ranger and headed out for some fishing. The bass were biting, and I had all day.